In this video, we are going to see how to use elimination techniques to achieve high accuracy in solving RCs. This is the second step in solving an RC with high accuracy. The first step is to read actively. If you haven't seen the video where we read this particular passage actively, click the link that you see on the top right, watch that video and then come back to this. According to the passage, what led to the secularization of the curriculum of liberal arts in the 12th century? What do you mean by secularization? Disassociation from religion, means not connected to religion anymore. That was given somewhere here, how the curriculum became more secular. Let's look at the options. It was divorced from religion and its influences. Well, that's the reason why it got disassociated from religion. So this looks like it could be our answer. Let's look at the other options. Students used it mainly as a base for studying law and medicine. Well, it is given that they used it mainly for a preparation for law, medicine, government service and all that. But that is not the reason why it became secular. Teaching could no longer be conducted exclusively in Latin. Something was given regarding Latin. Teaching was still almost exclusively in Latin, but it is not given anywhere that it is no longer conducted exclusively in Latin. So first thing is, we don't have a proof for this from the passage, and even if there is a proof for that from the passage, that is not the reason why the curriculum got disassociated from the religion. Arabic was introduced into the curriculum. That is no way the cause for disassociation from the religion. So looking at all the options, one is the best option we have. It was divorced from religion and its influences. It was also spoken about somewhere here. The curriculum of the liberal arts became more sophisticated and more divorced from the religion. According to the author, in the 12th century, individuals were motivated to get higher education because it did which of the following. Okay, it was spoken about somewhere around here. With the opening of pursuits in law, government and the church, education became a means for advancement, not only in income, but also in status. So people looked at education as a means for gaining income and also getting a better status. Let's look at the options here. Was a means for material advancement and higher status. Looks like this could be an answer because material advancement speaks about money and other income related aspects, and they are speaking about higher status as well. Gave people with wealth an opportunity to learn. Even people without wealth looked at education as a means to get wealth and status. So I can get rid of option 2. Offered a coveted place for those with love of learning. Even people without love for learning did take to education in order to get better income and status. So we can eliminate this. Directly added to the income levels of people. That is true, but it is not saying anything about the status part. So 1 is the best answer we have for this. According to the passage, 12th century schools were clerical and yet secular because. Okay, so we have to have an option which speaks about clerical yet secular because of what? Okay, first option, many teachers were craftsmen and professionals did not form part of the church. That doesn't say anything about why schools were clerical and yet secular. So we can get rid of this option. While students had legal privileges according to the clergy and looked like priests, not all were really priests. This doesn't speak anything about the secular part. You can get rid of this. The term cleric denoted a literate individual rather than a strict association with the church. This again doesn't speak anything about secular part. Let's look at this option. Though the clergy had a monopoly in education, which speaks about the clerical part, the environment, objective and curriculum, the schools were becoming secular. This speaks about the secular part as well. So this gives the reason for why schools were clerical and yet secular. This is the answer for this question. What does the sentence Christians educate their sons will be ours and the other brothers imply? Okay, it is being spoken about here. Christians educate their sons for gain in order that the one brother, if he be a clerk, may help his father and mother and his other brothers, saying that a clerk will have no hire. Whatever he has will be ours and the brothers. So this is what the question is speaking about. Okay, so what does this imply? Let's read this once. Christians educate their sons for gain in order that one brother, if he be a clerk, he may help his father and mother and his brothers, saying that the clerk will have no heir, so his brothers will get the inheritance. Let's look at this option. The Christian family was a close-knit unit in the 12th century. The purpose of giving that is not to say it's a close-knit unit. It is to say how that one son, if educated, will help the entire family financially. Christians educate their sons not so much for the love of learning as for material gain. Looks like this could be our answer. Not so much for the love of learning as for material gain. Material gain is the primary motive that is given here. So this could be our answer, but let's look at the other options as well. Christians believed very strongly in educating their sons in the church. It's not given about how strongly they believed in educating their sons in the church, and the purpose of this is not to imply this. It is to imply that they looked at education as a means to get material benefits. So we can remove this option as well. The relationship between Christian parents and their sons was exploitative in the 12th century. Exploitative is too strong a word here. Now, if you think, okay, let me think about it as exploitation, you might be tempted to believe that it is exploitation. But your attitude towards an option is to disprove each and every word that is there in the option. So if someone has to disprove that this is not exploitative, they could say there is no exploitation happening here. They are just helping each other. They are planning themselves out. So you cannot say this is exploitation. If you want to believe it is exploitation, you might tend to think it is exploitation, but that should not be your attitude towards reading comprehension. Every option you see, you should first think of how can I prove this is wrong. So this word is not a word that you can defend if someone argues against this. Now let's look at this option as well and see if we can eliminate this on the basis of anything. Christians educate their sons not so much for the love of learning. Well, that is how the passage started. Pure love of learning was a less compelling motive for those who became educated for careers. So as this is following the introduction of the passage, it could mean that these people are also looking for material wealth and not for the love of learning. As for material gain is definitely spoken about here. So the best option we have is option 2. Option 4 can be eliminated.